Now, on UHAS Base TV. It's the news at 6. Now, on UHAS Base TV. It's the news at 6. Now, on UHAS Base TV. It's the news at 6.
Watching the news at 6, I'm Beatrice.
And I'm prepared for our main headlines. SRC Court of Justice places an injunction on the 2023 UHAS SRC elections indefinitely. This comes after a petition was brought before the court by 3 persons against the Electoral Commission.
Chati is disqualified from the race for federal SRC president after failing to get the minimum requirement of 80% to pass the voting stage.
Mass disqualifications hit Hohoe campus as 5 aspirants are disqualified after voting results have been released by the Electoral Commission.
We will have extensive coverage on this and bring up the reaction from students.
Also tonight, new benches have been fixed at Trafalgar campus under the trees funded by the SRC.
And in just about an hour, the highly anticipated NAMSA dinner night will begin.
Hello and welcome to the news at SUS, and do stay with us for all the latest news on campus. We begin with breaking news. The UHAS SRC Court has granted an injunction on the 2023 UHAS SRC local news elections indefinitely. The injunction prevents the Electoral Commission from proceeding with or conducting any activities related to the SRC local news elections until further notice. In a notice service to the student body, it states that the injunction will be in place until there is final determination on the matter by the court or until it is lifted by a higher court. So what are the exact cases in court? 3 of them have been named. The first being between Mr. Enoch Addo and the Electoral Commission. The second being Michael Apia Danso and the Electoral Commission. And the last being the Coalition of Concerned Students and Aspirants versus the Electoral Commission. A date and time for hearing is yet to be set by the court.
Let's take a look at the contest that has led to these court cases. Frank Chati Bichuba and his running mate and Reginald Jibril has been disqualified from the race for federal SRC president. This comes after he failed to gain at least 80 out of the total score of 100 after vetting. According to the constitutional instrument for this year's election, any aspirant that fails to be obtained 80% after vetting will be disqualified. It is still, however, unclear how exactly the marks for vetting were allocated, as the Electoral Commission has not made the information public. Also, in the federal category, Enoch Addo, who was contesting for the position of the federal treasurer, has also been disqualified from the race. There were no marks allocated to his name. We will speak to our political correspondent in just a moment, but first, this report by Sandra.
The race for federal SRC president has taken an unexpected turn. Frank Chati Bichuba and his running mate, Reginald Jibril, had been vying for the prestigious position of federal SRC president, capturing the hopes and aspirations of many on campus. However, their dreams have been abruptly shattered as both candidates faced disqualification. The disqualification was a result of a critical stipulation in this year's elections. An aspirant must score a minimum of 80 out of a total of 100 marks during the rigorous vetting process. This rule. The race for federal SRC president has taken an unexpected turn. Frank Chati Bechuba and his running mate, Reginald Jibril, had been vying for the prestigious position of federal SRC president, capturing the hopes and aspirations of many on campus. However, their dreams have been abruptly shattered as both candidates faced disqualification. The disqualification was a result of a critical stipulation in this year's elections. An aspirant must score a minimum of 80 out of a total of 100 marks during the rigorous vetting process. This rule, enshrined in the constitutional instrument for the elections, leaves no room for leniency, and any candidate falling short of this benchmark faces automatic disqualification. But the mystery surrounding the allocation of these vital vetting marks remains a major concern. The Electoral Commission, responsible for overseeing the electoral process, has yet to release any information regarding the criteria or specifics of how these marks were distributed among the candidates. The disqualification of prominent candidates like Frank Chati Bechuba and Reginald Jibril has left the campus community in a state of perplexity. In a surprising twist, the federal category also saw another candidate, Enoch Addo, disqualified from the race, and no marks were allocated to his name during the vetting process, leaving both Enoch Addo and the students' body bewildered about the circumstances surrounding his exclusion. The collective impact of these disqualifications and the subsequent reopening of nominations for new aspirants are poised to reshape the course of the campus elections. The big question now is, will there be another court case?
We are being joined in by our political correspondent, Prince Emmanuel, to discuss this further. Hello, Prince.
Hello, and thank you for having me once again.
Okay, you're welcome. Prince, how is Frank Chati and Reginald Jibril taking their disqualification in the race for the SRC presidency?
All right, so from the camp of Frank Chati and his vice presidential aspirants, we've not heard anything so much from them. They've not released a statement, unlike other aspirants have been disqualified. They've not released any statement. So we are here to know whether they are really going on with what the EC has said, or maybe they can also, because from the what has been released by EC, we have seen something like collected concerned students and aspirants. So he may be part of those aspirants, or maybe something. So we've not heard anything so much from the camp of
Okay. But Frank was part of the candidates for last year's SRC elections. So what do you think contributed to his disqualification in this year's vetting process?
All right. So being part of last year's election and being going this year, I don't really know. I can't tell what contributed to his disqualification because, as we said earlier, the EC has not released any criteria or released any statements as of this is the reason why you had this mark, the reason why you have this mark. So that particular question can only be answered by the EC because they are the ones who know why they have given us a particular mark and why they have disqualified someone. So that question will be only answered by the EC. Yeah.
Okay. And how is the student populace taking the whole issue with respect to the disqualification of many aspirants for this year's vetting process?
All right. So they are not taking it lightly at all. And as I keep on saying every time when we come to our UHAS election one shows, we come to the news, we are trying to gather momentum as a student's body to for students to be able to engage in this kind of election because a lot of court cases and a lot of issues have arisen from all these elections for several years. We saw it from the poll that we did last time when we had a lot of students saying that they are not going to be interested in voting this year. Some of those are trying to think about it, whether they should vote in this year's election. But everything seems to be going on well until this injunction, the court case, and all those things. And the students are not taking this lightly. You see, so it's just going to cause a lot of more issues than how it's supposed to be. Because if it's going to be prolonged, that means the election is not going to come on as next week Friday as we see it, which is going to take more time than usual. Yeah.
Okay. And Prince, I would like to ask, are there any concerns or controversies surrounding the disqualification of Enoch for the federal treasurer this year?
All right. So for Enoch, we don't actually know why he was disqualified. Because he was present and he was even a dash mark. The dash mark is what makes it some kind of weird, because he was present at the voting. He submitted all these things. We saw him as people who were aspiring, who were slated to be vetted, and he stood in for the voting. So at least the students' population was expecting that if not anything at all, he should get a particular mark. But like giving him a dash raised a lot of concern from students, but some of them felt like he didn't take part in the vetting. But like we saw him taking part in the vetting. There are videos that he was taking part in the vetting. So that's one of the concerns. Like somebody don't know why someone will take part in the vetting and the person will give it a dash. And that is some of the issues that's like are being like some of the issues that are going on campus. Yeah. Okay.
Prince Emmanuel, please, before you leave, anything for the Electoral Commission and then the court as well, as a student, as a student in UHAS, do you have anything for the Electoral Commission and then the court?
All right. So, as I always see from the shows and all those things, the first thing to taking out this kind of court cases is trying to tackle the issues from the root cause. What are the major concerns that bring about these court cases? Has to do with vetting, has to do with a particular allocation of mark. And I've always been an advocate for them scrapping off that particular mark, looking at it that someone must attain this particular mark, 80% mark, must attain this particular mark before you should be allowed to contest the election. It must be scrapped off. I feel like so far as the person is able to meet the criteria set by the Constitution, the CGP, and other things, the other major criteria, the vetting should just be a form of recommendation. So you are getting this mark, maybe one aspirant is getting a 90, another one is getting an 80, another one is getting a 70. It's then to the students' population to say that, based on the vetting, we've seen this person as more qualified than this person. So you should use that in judging on who you should vote for. And that will be one of the major steps in eradicating this kind of court cases in the first place. And that is something that has been tested and has been tried. In the University of Ghana, they have implemented that policy. And now they don't disqualify anybody. So you don't see them going into court cases. Because this year particularly, if you should study everything so well, assuming there was no form of disqualification in this year's election, there wouldn't have been something of a court case. Maybe the franchise would have still been the race, Enoch would have still also been the race. Then there will be no so much basis of any court case. And these election issues are issues of students' consent and are issues that can arise into a different thing altogether. So personally, I was not expecting that cut-off point to even be in the CI in the first place, knowing very well that the EC was our former deputy EC and has gone through the court cases last year and has seen all those things. I thought that the Electoral Commission this year would have taken drastic measures to ensure that all the fundamental issues were addressed. Fundamental issues such as what? Publishing the criteria for the vetting. Those things were the issues that was raised last year at the court. So this year, they should have made effort to publicize it, and they should have also made effort to ensure that there is no form of cut-off in terms of like disqualification, and we would have saved ourselves all this stress of going around again. So they should take that into consideration. Maybe the next election that is coming should take that into consideration. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So we're joined in by our political correspondent, Prince Emmanuel. According to Prince Emmanuel, he believes that the EC should scrap off the 80% mark for the vetting process. And if that is adopted by the EC, it would go a long way to help with the electoral process in UHAS. So away from politics, new benches have been fixed under trees at the Trafalgar campus of the university. The project is currently underway and being funded by the SRC. The SRC is expected to provide a resting shelter for students to stay there and rest if there are no available lecture rooms. The Nursing and Midwifery Students Association conducted their elections on Monday, August 11, 2023. We are pleased to announce that Idris Abbas has emerged as the president-elect of the association for the forthcoming academic year, 2023-2024. Following a closely monitored electoral process, Idris Abbas secured a total of 192 valid votes, clinching a decisive victory over his opponent, Kelsifa Debra, who garnered a total of 409 valid votes. This election outcome marks a pivotal moment for the association, and it sets the stage for the incoming leadership to make their impact felt in the coming year.
The UHAS Alumni Association has opened nomination for the 2023 alumni election from the 15th of September to the 2nd of October 2023. And the alumni team will play a match tomorrow at the Dave Park with current students. Let's just remind you of our main story this hour. The SRC court has placed an injunction on the 2023 UHAS SRC elections until further notice. This three petitions against the Electoral Commission was presented to the court. We will have more coverage on Good UHAS at 8 a.m. tomorrow. That's how we wrap up the news at 6. Follow us on Facebook, regular news updates.
Follow us on X, formerly Twitter, for breaking news alerts. Subscribe to UHAS Base TV on YouTube for more video content.